The World Endurance Championship is back for the second half of this season, and it's time for the series to return to Brazil. Interlagos makes its long-awaited comeback to the WEC this year, as we prepare for an exciting 6-hour endurance race in South America. So in this video, I will break down the details that you need to know ahead of the 2024 Rolex 6 Hours of Sao Paulo. Top flight prototype and GT endurance racing is back in South America as the WEC returns to Brazil for the first time in 10 years. The last time the championship was here in Sao Paulo was in 2014, with Porsche securing their first WEC victory with the 919 Hybrid. The WEC is also coming back from the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which was arguably the best race this season. The event never ceased to amaze us with the action it brought, and if you want a refresher of what happened during Le Mans, I recommend checking out my race review for the event, which I'll link in the description. Not only is the WEC returning to Brazil, but the series is also returning to the normal full season entry format, with just the Hypercar and LMGT3 categories present, and no LMP2 class or extra hypercars or GT3 cars like we saw at Le Mans. For the 6-hour endurance race, the entry list features 19 entries in Hypercar and 18 in LMGT3, which creates a 37-car field for the return of the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo. It's also worth mentioning that we will have 2 Brazilian racers on the grid. These 2 drivers are both in LMGT3, and they are Augusto Farfus in the number 31 Team WRT BMW and Nicolas Costa in the number 59 United Autosports McLaren. I also wanted to point out that Harry Tincknell, who usually drives the number 99 Proton Competition Porsche 963, will not be racing here in Brazil. This is because of his other commitments as one of the drivers in the factory Ford Mustangs that are competing over in Canada in IMSA's Chevrolet Grand Prix. Moving on to the track, Interlagos is one of the most iconic racing circuits in the world, and it's a track that a lot of motorsport enthusiasts, including myself, have been wanting to make a return to the WEC, and finally this is happening. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, or more commonly referred to as the Interlagos circuit, is a racing course that was established on May 12th of 1940. The circuit is located in one of Brazil's most famous cities of Sao Paulo, and the track is FIA Grade 1. The circuit has definitely evolved since its inception in 1940, but the current variation, which has remained relatively the same since 1999, has a total of 15 turns that make up the roughly 2.6 mile track, or 4.3 kilometers. The circuit has 2 straights, with the best places to overtake into turn 1 at the start of the Senna S's and at the section of Decina del Lago at turn 4. Over the years, Interlagos has played host to many other motorsports series besides the World Endurance Championship. However, the reason why this circuit is so famous is because of Formula 1. The F1 Brazilian Grand Prix is an important event in the F1 Championship, and it was especially popular back when the Brazilian legend Ayrton Senna was winning here. Now, as I mentioned before, this 2024 event will not be the first big endurance race at Interlagos, and certainly is not the first WEC race here. Back in 2007, the Le Mans series came here, and overall victory was clinched by Peugeot, with Nicolas Minassian and Marc Genet taking victory in the number 7 car. In 2012, the World Endurance Championship came to this track for the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo, with Toyota taking overall victory. So far, the WEC has come to Interlagos 3 times, and the series looked to make a comeback in 2020, however, the event was cancelled. The racing has always been exciting at this circuit, and I expect there to be yet another phenomenal race as the WEC returns to Brazil for the first time in 10 years. Let's now take a look at the WEC standings heading into this race at Sao Paulo. The number 6 Porsche Penske continues to lead the hypercar standings with 99 points. However, after their win at Le Mans, the number 50 Ferrari is just 9 points behind in second place. The number 7 Toyota is in third, followed by the number 12 Hertz Team Jota Porsche, and the number 5 Porsche Penske completes the top 5. In LMGT3, the standings are closer at the top. The 2 Porsche 911 GT3Rs are at the top, the 91 car ahead of the number 92, but they are tied on points. The number 91 Manthey EMA Porsche has been on unbelievable form after winning the last 2 events in LMGT3, including the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The number 31 Team WRT BMW is just 2 points behind in third place, with the 777 D-Station Aston Martin in fourth and the 85 Iron Dames Lamborghini completing the top 5. Let's now take a look at the balance of performance for the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo. For Hypercar, when it comes to power, the Isotta Fraschini Tipo 6 LMHC has been given the most power, where the Ferrari 499P has been given the least. Once again, on the weight side of things, Isotta Fraschini are in a good position. They have the lightest car, where the Toyota GR010 and once again the Ferrari 499P are the heaviest. Isotta Fraschini are definitely in a good place when it comes to BOP. The boutique Italian manufacturer have the most powerful and lightest car on the grid. However, this likely doesn't mean that Isotta Fraschini will have the best performing hypercar, therefore battling for the win in Brazil, even though it would be great to see them up there. It's also worth mentioning that Ferrari has been negatively affected by the BOP this time round, as the 499P is now 37 pounds heavier. Toyota and Ferrari are unfortunately both at the back when it comes to power and weight. When it comes to LMGT3 and on the power side, the BMW M4 GT3 is now the most powerful car on the grid, with the Ferrari given the least amount of power. On the weight side of things, the Porsche is now the lightest, with the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo now the heaviest car. I also want to point out that since this is technically the halfway mark of the season, this is where I think the new hypercars will start to perform better than the previous races. The first couple of rounds, especially in Le Mans, was always going to be a learning experience for these new hypercar brands. And while I still think that they won't be challenging for big results, like podiums for example, until 2025, I believe that here at Interlagos we will start to see better performance from the brands of BMW, Alpine, Lamborghini, and Isotta Fraschini. And the same kind of goes for Peugeot as well. Even though the French manufacturer has been competing with their Le Mans hypercar since 2022, we have to remember that they are still in the learning phase as well, because they have this new version of the car. So hopefully the French manufacturer's new 9X8 can perform better here at Interlagos now that they've had 3 races with it. Moving on to the event schedule. Qualifying and Hyperpole for the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo will take place on Saturday, July 13th. The sessions will begin at 2:30 p.m. and go until about 3:40 p.m. local time. By the way, Sao Paulo is in the Brasilia Standard Time Zone. As for the main event, the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo will take place on Sunday, July 14th. The race will start at 11:30 a.m. and go until about 5:30 p.m. local time. I also want to point out that the WEC's race in Brazil will clash with IMSA's race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. That event will also take place on Sunday and will start about 2.5 hours after the start of the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo. You might also be wondering, how are you supposed to watch the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo in 2024? Well, like the previous events, the best place to watch this event is going to be on the official WEC app. If watching through the app is not possible though, other areas in the world have options for streaming, such as the Max streaming service in the United States of America, or through Eurosport in the majority of Europe. Actually, the full list of broadcast options has been kindly provided by the WEC on their social media platforms. I'll link the list in the description down below so you can check that out. If watching live is not an option for you, don't worry, because sometime after the event concludes, the WEC will post the full race to their official YouTube channel. And here on this channel, I'll be covering the event with the typical race review. So that completes my race preview for the 2024 Rolex 6 Hours of Sao Paulo. Are you excited for the World Endurance Championships return to Brazil? And which manufacturer do you think will take overall victory at Interlagos? Well, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching. For more content on endurance racing such as the WEC and IMSA, consider subscribing if you haven't already. On screen, you'll find some suggested videos to watch next. For now though, that's it for me. You'll hear from me next in the following video.